My name is H.A. Goodman, and I'm an author, columnist, and journalist. Hit subscribe right now. You definitely want to get the take of someone the Washington Post called the unofficial scribe of Sanders's most hardcore voters, someone the Huffington Post called the biggest Bernie Sanders booster on the internet, who is voting for President Trump in large part because he's bringing home Americans from never-ending conflict, close to 10,000 from two hotspots in the world. He's presiding over peace between North and South Korea, 400,000 manufacturing jobs, a GDP of over 3%, record low Black and Latino unemployment. We can go on and on. Really quickly, Buzzfeed came out with a report tonight. You'll hear about the report tomorrow. I have to read Michael Cohen's 2017 statement to the U.S. Senate Select Committee on Intelligence on September 19, 2017. Let's read that. It completely undermines, eviscerates, dismantles the Buzzfeed report that says, oh my God, two federal law enforcement officials, two anonymous sources who almost certainly dislike Trump with a passion, say that he told Michael Cohen to lie. Buzzfeed, by the way, lucked out in her ruling. Judge Ursula Ungaro of the United States District Court in Miami said that in Miami, Debbie Wasserman Schultz's said BuzzFeed was protected in its publication of the dossier by the fair report privilege, which gives news organizations latitude in reporting an official government proceeding. Ladies and gentlemen, Michael Cohen sued BuzzFeed. Other people have sued BuzzFeed. They got away with publishing libelous material because it was an official, quote-unquote, official proceeding. It should never have been used. We know from Bruce Orr, John Solomon's report the other day, that Bruce Orr notified the entire Obama administration, Peter Strzok, an attorney for Loretta Lynch, the FBI. They all knew before the FISA warrant, before the election, long before the election, they all knew that the Steele dossier was paid for by Hillary Clinton, was compiled by someone who was against Trump from the beginning, Christopher Steele, and was unverified. They all knew this. Bruce Orr let everyone know. There should never have been an investigation based on suspicion, because if suspicion is the standard, then put Bill and Hillary Clinton in Gitmo or whatever. Not Gitmo, but San Quentin tomorrow. San Quentin, whatever. Suspicion is not the basis for an investigation. Bill Clinton met with Vladimir Putin in 2010. I notice BuzzFeed doesn't care about that. But let's just... BuzzFeed is a wannabe WikiLeaks, whereas WikiLeaks and Julian Assange are actually journalists and publishers, and they publish pristine documents. BuzzFeed makes its... BuzzFeed's claim to fame is that it's an extension of the Democratic National Committee, and it sued the DNC because it was getting sued, and it lucked out. Michael Cohen sued BuzzFeed because they kept on harping about the Steele dossier that it published, stating that he was in Prague. He was never in Prague. Even Lanny Davis says he was never in Prague. He was never in Prague. He was never in Prague. He never Prague. Never in Prague. He never went to Prague. He never went to the Czech Republic. Ever, 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 ever. The major claims of the Steele dossier have never been proven. Carter Page, Manafort, Papadopoulos were never in cahoots. They never spoke to or colluded with Russian intelligence. It's all a bunch of nonsense, and BuzzFeed is doubling down. We'll read the BuzzFeed report in a second, but this is a statement to Congress. This is Michael Cohen. Why do you think they're backtracking? Because they want to get Trump on a process crime. Well, he told Cohen to lie. No evidence of that. Michael Cohen's going to sell his soul to the Democratic Party because he was a corrupt individual who committed crimes himself. That's what happens when you have a taxi empire that gets completely obliterated by Lyft and, apps that you could just call up instead of a taxi. Anyway, statement of Michael D. Cohen, Esquire, to the U.S. Senate, Esquire, to the U.S. Senate Select Committee on Intelligence on September 19, 2017. Thank you for inviting me to speak with you today. This is Michael Cohen, by the way, completely undermining, dismantling the report from this evening that you will see today. As part of this statement, I would like to accomplish two things. First, I want to comment briefly, but clearly, on the presumed subject of this morning's interview. Second, I want to address what I believe are the implications of it. Let me be totally clear that I am innocent of the allegations raised against me in the public square, which are based on misinformation and unnamed and unverifiable sources. He's referring to Buzzfeed. Okay. I have never engaged with, been paid by, paid for, or conversed with any member of the Russian Federation or anyone else to hack anyone or any organization. I never engaged with, been paid by, paid for, or conversed with any member of the Russian Federation or anyone else to hack or intervene with the election. Let's read that again. I have never engaged with, been paid by, paid for, or conversed with any member of the Russian Federation or anyone else to hack the Democratic Party computers, and I have never engaged with, been paid by, paid for, or conversed with any member of the Russian Federation or anyone else to create fake news stories to assist Trump campaign to damage the Clinton campaign. Why doesn't David Brock get sent to Congress and talk about the $1 million that he spent and correct the record? What about the $1.2 billion she outspent Trump 2-1, also on social media? How did she win the popular vote? Where's the evidence that anyone saw a Facebook ad in swing states and voted for Trump? Where's the evidence of how many Trump voters would have voted for Clinton were it not for Facebook or Twitter ads from Russian troll farms? Where's that evidence? There's no evidence. Buzzfeed in its report, by the way, one of the journalists is a great journalist, but Buzzfeed in its report, yet again, tries to be WikiLeaks. Buzzfeed has like a neuroses, like it's like a complex. Like, you're not WikiLeaks, Buzzfeed. You are not Julian Assange. Julian Assange is a hero, publishes not just the DNC or Podesta emails, has a long track record of publishing pristine, perfect, impeccable, truthful documents written by the corrupt little grubby hands of people in power who commit crimes. Anyway, God bless Julian Assange. He should be free. He'll eventually be free. I believe that momentum is on his side. Given my own proximity to the President of the United States as a candidate, let me also say that I never saw anything, not a hint of anything, that demonstrated his involvement in Russian interference in our election or any form of Russian collusion. I emphatically state that I had nothing to do with any Russian involvement in our electoral process. Don't worry, Cohen. Nobody interfered in our election. The Russians didn't interfere in our election. Everything's fine. Nate Cohen of the New York Times, 3 days before the election, said Hillary Clinton has a solid electoral college lead. H.A. Goodman was saying in 2015 she couldn't win swing states in the Huffington Post and Salon and The Hill. I stated in The Hill, I wrote an article, why Sanders defeats Trump, but Trump defeats Clinton. In the Huffington Post, I stated in 2015, Hillary Clinton is unelectable. Look it up. I've been right more often than I've been wrong. A lot more often. But anyway, This is Michael Cohen. I emphatically state that I had nothing to do. It's actually better if it's good when I read from my phone. I emphatically state that I had nothing to do with any Russian involvement in our electoral process. By the way, hit subscribe to HA Second Amendment. It's below in the comments section. I have the best grouping thus far with the Springfield XD 45 ACP. Check it out. Subscribe to HA Second Amendment. Hit subscribe to this channel. In fact, I find the activities attributed to the Russian Federation, if found to be true, to be an offense on our democracy. I actually don't care. If the Russians told the country the truth about Clinton, what do I care? What do you care? If you're a Democrat, what do you care? If the Russians told, if actually Trump was cheating, if the RNC cheated someone to get to Trump, if like Rand Paul was supposed to win but Trump won, I wouldn't vote for Trump. I'd want Rand Paul. That's the difference between conservatives and liberals nowadays. Liberals will be like, fight the oligarchy, man. Fight this euphemism, man. And they'll be like, oh, okay. And then Bernie will be like, Deborah Wasserman Schultz was a wonderful person to me. She was absolutely wonderful. He gets cheated, and he wants to fight the oligarchy and the 1%. The 1% cheated you, Bernie. You left your voters out to dry. You left your vote $200 million DNC fraud lawsuit. Jared Beck, Elizabeth Beck, Nico House. 3 heroes that will live forever. Thanks, Bernie, for representing. For Julian Assange, for your voters, for Jill Stein. Assange is a hero, should be free. WikiLeaks published the truth. Buzzfeed pretends to be WikiLeaks, publishes these absurd stories where they luck out. It should never have, the United States government under President Obama should never, ever, ever have utilized the dossier purchased by Hillary Clinton and a third-party tech firm who was outsourced by the Democratic Party to start an investigation. Trump's turning the tables, everyone. All the wonderful people at Buzzfeed, don't you know that President Trump can declassify everything he needs to declassify this year? Don't you know that William Barr will make you all look bad? The uranium deal alone, if a special counsel on that, if there's a special counsel on any aspect of Clinton's crimes, from the Steele dossier to CrowdStrike to Uranium One to transferring top secret intelligence outside of the United States government, out of JWIC, Special Access Program intelligence on an unencrypted server, a once unencrypted server in her basement, numerous servers. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable, the level of delusion. It hasn't gotten better. It's gotten worse. You would think that after losing $1.2 billion, they would calm down and say, gosh, we probably should just change. But they got the House. They thought they got a big victory. And then Pelosi was like, oh, we're going to go to Brussels. Yay. And then Trump said, no, you're not. No, you're not. You can fly Southwest to Kabul if you want, or anywhere else. You're not using the Air Force. Sorry. Government shutdown. You know how things go. As an attorney, I believe this is Michael Cohen completely eviscerating this report from BuzzFeed. Oh, my God. You told Trump about a Moscow tower. What's worse, BuzzFeed? 20% of U.S. uranium capacity with money flowing into the Clinton Foundation from Uranium One as Bill Clinton meets with Vladimir Putin at his home outside Moscow. Oof. That's weird. At his home outside Moscow. Or the special counsel looking. Special counsel Mueller. Don't you love when they're like, Special counsel Mueller? Yeah, right. Mueller was the FBI director who presided over a bribery and racketeering scandal. Oh, by the way, with yellow cake uranium being shipped out of the country Cash flowed to Clinton Foundation amid Russian uranium deal. It says it right there. As an attorney, I believe justice ought not to be politicized in the United States of America, neither in the Senate office nor in the courts. I'm certain that the evidence at the conclusion of this investigation will reinforce the fact that there was no collusion between Russia, President Trump, or me. No wonder Buzzfeed has this fantastic report today. I am also certain that there are some in this country who do not care about the facts, but simply want to politicize the issue, choosing to presume guilt rather than presuming innocence, so as to discredit our lawfully elected president in the public eye and shame his supporters in the public square. This is un-American. I am here today to reiterate my own innocence regarding the false allegations raised against me by Buzzfeed. What I seek is the committee making a public conclusion about the truth or falsity of the allegations that follow. My reputation was damaged. What? My reputation was damaged in December 2016 when Buzzfeed published an unverified dossier prepared by a retired British spy, Christopher Steele, that it was riddled with total falsehoods and intentionally salacious accusations. Bruce Orr, we know all of this stuff now. They knew it was nonsense before they went after they got the FISA warrant. Look, it was an obvious setup. They framed Trump, they covered up Hillary Clinton's crimes, and now Trump is turning the tables. Now William Barr is going to go after everyone. If William Barr has a spine, it's yet to be determined, but hopefully he does. In my opinion, the hired spy didn't find anything factual, so he threw together a shoddily written and totally fabricated report filled with lies and rumors. I have to read this again. This is Michael Cohen. Trump didn't tell him to lie about all this stuff. So the Buzzfeed is like, Trump told Michael Cohen to lie about the Moscow Tower. Who cares about a tower in Moscow? It didn't even go through. Which is worse, a hotel in Moscow or 20% of U.S. uranium capacity and yellow cake uranium being shipped out of the country? To liberals or Democrats, Moscow Tower is worse. In my opinion, this is hilarious. This is hilarious. In my opinion, the hired spy didn't find anything factual, so he threw together a shoddily written and totally fabricated report filled with lies and rumors. The New York Post recently noted that much of the information in the dossier appears at points to be copied from the internet, with typographical errors included. That's interesting. My name is mentioned more than a dozen times in the lie-filled dossier, and so within moments of Buzzfeed's publication, false allegations about me were plastered all over the national and international press. The accusations are entirely and totally false. A core accusation was that I had traveled to Prague to meet with Russians regarding interfering in the election. I have never in my life been to Prague or to anywhere in the Czech Republic. I might also add that I only have one passport, a United States passport. I have to say that to you today that I have only... And BuzzFeed, by the way, was like, could you have been near Prague? BuzzFeed is like the soda pop of journalism. They're maybe half a step above Raw Story. It's Raw Story and BuzzFeed. And then the Daily Beast, which is actually 5 steps below CNN, which is 10 steps below any reputable publication, which there's not many reputable publications out there anymore. I have to say that to you today, I only have, because another media outlet suggested that as a Jew, I must have an Israeli passport. So there you go. So you have anti-Semitism against Michael Cohen, but of course, nobody cares about that on the left. Aside from such an allegation being incredibly offensive, it was also totally wrong. Let me tell you where I was on the day the dossier said I was in Prague. I was in Los Angeles with my son, who dreams of playing Division I baseball next year at a prestigious university like USC. Go Trojans. We were visiting the campus, meeting with various coaches and discussing his future. Media sources have been able to confirm these facts, and I could provide you with proof. My wife and I have been married for 23 years and are now entering into the season of our lives. when we get to watch our children become adults themselves. My daughter, who is an Ivy League school, and my wife, who is of Ukrainian descent, have especially been subjected to harassment, insults, and threats. Thanks, Buzzfeed. Some so severe I cannot share them in mixed company. Oh, thanks, Buzzfeed. You might say that the experiences I am living through are the cost of being in the public eye, but they shouldn't be, as I am not a government official. Many Trump-supporting Americans are also paying the cost, like the 12-year-old child in Missouri who was beaten up for wearing a Make America Great Again hat. Oh, what happened, Gillette? Do you want to talk about that? Oh, I guess not. You can oppose the president's views and policies, but not raise false issues about the validity of his victory. I assume that Michael Cohen sounds amazing. What happened? Oh, that's right. He was a crook who had a taxi empire that was no longer. So whatever, all the loans or whatever the financial crimes he committed, that's why he's sold his soul to the Democrats. I assume we will discuss the rejected proposal to build a Trump property in Moscow. Oh, here we go. I assume we will discuss the rejected proposal to build a Trump property in Moscow. I hope Trump builds it today. I hope he built it today, because you know what? We'll use the same logic that said Bill Clinton meeting with Putin didn't mean anything. Can't prove anything. Can't prove anything. What's worse, uranium or a hotel? I assume we will discuss the rejected proposal to build a Trump property in Moscow that was terminated in January of 2016, which occurred before the Iowa caucus and months before the very first primary. There you go. This was solely a real estate deal and nothing more. I was doing my job. I would ask that the two-page statement about the Moscow proposal that I sent to committee in August be incorporated into this manuscript. I'm very proud to have served Donald J. Trump for all of these years, and I'll continue to support him. If we really are concerned about a Russian attempt to divide our country, and our country was divided because of the Clintons. What an absurd, ludicrous, hilarious notion. The Russians, we were all in love with Hillary. But it was the Russians who told us not to love her. If we really are concerned about a Russian attempt to divide our country and discredit our political system, the best thing we can do is put aside our infighting, stop presuming guilt rather than innocence of American citizens. Yeah, that's good. And address the national security threat as a united people at its source. If they didn't, but if Russia hacked the DNC, it's a private matter. DNC is a private organization. They during the DNC fraud lawsuit, they said, yeah, we could cheat. We could cheat Bernie. It's not a problem. We're a private entity. Good. Then you sue Russia, you sue yourself. You don't need the United States government, which, by the way, only CrowdStrike has said. So all the Mueller indictments of Russian nationals or intelligence officers, that's from CrowdStrike's assessment. Oh, yeah, by the way, CrowdStrike was outsourced by Clinton. Funny how that works. Otherwise, the priorities of the American people will continue to be neglected, and the Russians will use our distraction to continue to harm us from the shadows. They don't harm us with Facebook ads. Who's harmed by Facebook ads? And the Russians will continue to harm us from the shadows while we harm each other in front of the cameras and lights. I look forward to answering all your questions today. Look. Michael Cohen already refuted everything in BuzzFeed's fantastic report. Now BuzzFeed is backtracking after Cohen wanted to sue BuzzFeed, actually did sue BuzzFeed, and because Mueller went after him because he was a crook that had nothing to do with Russia, just like Manafort's had nothing to do with Russia. Mueller is going after obstruction because he can't find any evidence of collusion between Trump and Russia. He needs to get Trump on something. Meanwhile, Hillary Clinton gets away with top secret intelligence outside the United States government, a special access program intelligence from JWICS. What else? Clinton Foundation, obvious pay to play, Haiti, Uranium One, Boeing, UBS. 85 donors giving $156 million. It's nothing, It's an obvious money laundering scheme. It's so obvious. No suspicion there, but Trump wanted to build a hotel. And the Steele dossier is undermined by the fact that, Bill Clinton, according to Newsweek and other reports, met with Vladimir Putin at his home outside Moscow. Hit subscribe right now, ladies and gentlemen. Buzzfeed, once again, fails to get Trump. Once again, if you look at Buzzfeed, it's according to two people, unnamed sources. Unnamed sources that said, oh yeah, Michael Cohen said that Trump, obviously, Michael Cohen's going to say anything because he's committed financial crimes, major financial crimes. That's why they got him. That's why you don't commit financial crimes. That's why you make sure you pay your taxes and you don't commit crimes. That's why you make sure you're not a criminal. Because if there is some kind of unethical Mueller probe, then you get it. And by the way, the Mueller probe was started under false pretense, under James Comey's criminal acts. Leaking information that's classified is a crime. Sorry, Comey. Lying to Congress about exonerating Clinton before 17 interviews when you said you waited for all the interviews is a crime. He lied under oath. McCabe lied under oath 3 times. James Baker, the FBI legal counselor, lied under oath. What else? There's going to be a Strzok investigation with William Barr. Yeah, why do you think they're going after all of these people? Because they're criminals. Hit subscribe right now. BuzzFeed fails yet again to hurt Trump. Thank you so much for listening. Check out my Second Amendment channel. Amazing grouping with the Springfield XT 45 ACP. Thank you so very much.